670 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. You know, there's one thing that you ladies really don't do that us guys do, or at least some of us do. You don't really sow wild oats. You know, it's possible for us, not that it's something to be proud of, but it's possible for us to have a child out there we don't know about.
Yes,
that can't happen to you.
No.
You know it.
Everybody knows.
Right? That is sort of kind of part of the story we're going to talk about. David Bell is on the phone. He is an associate professor of English at Western Kentucky University. He's an award-winning, best-selling author. He's got some really amazingly good reviews for his book that we're going to talk about, Somebody's Daughter. Good morning, David. Thank you for being on the air. It's an honor to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this guy sowed some wild oats and didn't know that one of them took, huh?
Well, you're right. You know, you bring up an interesting point, which is obviously a woman can't have a child she doesn't know about, but for men that is an issue, right? You might have someone show up years later and say, we had a child together and I never told you about it, and then the character in the book has to ask the question, is this person telling me the truth?
Right.
Is this really my child, or am I being snowed and taken for a ride?
Right. And the mom is not the nicest person.
Well, she has some issues in her past. I mean, I try to write all the characters so that they're complicated and they have positive qualities and questionable qualities, and you kind of have to wonder about the mother of this child, Erica. What exactly is her angle here? Can she be trusted? Is she telling a story? Or maybe she's telling the truth. We don't really know about her, at least initially.
Some stories don't have as much character development as others, and I think this particular story, not only do you do a good job at that, but I think it adds to the story. By us knowing these characters, we feel more for the circumstances that they're in.
I think the best books make you care about the characters, and the reason you get hooked on a book is because you care about the characters. If you don't really care about the people, then it doesn't really matter what happens in the book. So I try very hard to make the reader understand and empathize with the characters, and then when bad things start happening to them, the reader is more emotionally involved and caught up in the story.
You have a really big following in our area, and I always know when we have an author or a guest of any kind with a following because of the calls earlier in the day, or in this case on Friday, because I guess we had announced that you were coming on. So where does this all start for you? You're very prolific, obviously.
Yeah, I'm writing a book a year, which is a lot. I mean, I have known people who have writing careers who write like 10 or 15 books a year, so they make me feel bad.
Holy cow.
But one book a year, yeah, there are people who do that. Yeah, I don't know how they do it, but I mean, I still have a day job, so, you know, one book a year is pretty good for having a day job, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and your day job is as a professor, so you got your hands full with that as well, right?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the nice thing about my job is that I have summers off and I get a holiday break, and so there's some time during the year when I don't have to go in and punch the clock. But during the school year, yeah, there's a lot going on. You know, the students, they want to come around, they want to ask me questions and things like that. And, you know, I guess I have to answer them and pay attention to the students a little bit.
In teaching at the school, you teach English. So do your books ever play a role in the classes?
Well, I don't teach my books, and my rule of thumb is that if a student comes to me when they're in my class and they tell me that they like one of my books, I don't believe them. I only believe them when the semester is over, because they might just be saying they like my book to try to get an A in the class, which would work.
That's funny.
Which would work because, writers want to do that kind of stuff. But it only counts after the semester.
I'm wondering if you've had enough feedback on this particular one to tell a difference between how women are responding to this as opposed to men.
It's a little too early to tell. I mean, I'll be honest, most of my readers are women because women just tend to read more than men, because as we all know, women are smarter than men. I mean, I'm saying that because my wife might be listening. But it's a true fact. I mean, women buy a lot of books, and my readership, it's a lot of women who are reading the books. So yeah, I'll be curious to know if there is a different reaction. I mean, why do you ask that question? Do you think women might have a different reaction to something there?
Only because as a man who, gosh, it's almost painful to say this. I mean, there's been some wild oats in my past too. I have no idea if they ever took. I don't know. So there's a little bit of dis-ease, if you know what I mean, or unease, if you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, I think it was one of the things that makes the book engaging is that this is everybody, man or woman, this is everybody's worst nightmare, is that an ex who you thought you were finished with, and you thought, I'm never going to see that person again, I'm not connected to that person anymore. That person shows up on your doorstep and says, hey, surprise, I'm back. And we do have some unfinished business. I think that's horrifying to everybody to think about.
And the horrifying part of it is that the woman is using the baby as leverage, and she doesn't really care about the child to say something like that when that happens, in my opinion.
See?
Oh, well,
there's the difference right there.
There you go. Well, I mean, like I said earlier, you're meant to wonder about her motives, and is this just a ploy to get her ex-husband back? Like we said, there's some shady things in her past. She's had Child Protective Services called on her, so maybe she's not the best mother in the world. But at the same time, she's a single mom who's working, and that presents its own challenges to try to balance all of that stuff without a husband in her life. So, you're trying to see a range of possibilities for her.
And you've written this so well because you have a lot of different perspectives in your book, and you have the narrative, which is done most excellent.
Well, what I really was fun about writing the book is there are 3 point-of-view characters. There's the husband, there's his current wife, so you get the perspective of the current wife who sees this ex-wife show up saying, we have a child together, and the current marriage, they're having trouble conceiving a child. So what's it like if you're the current wife and you might find out that your husband has a child could have a child with his ex-wife, but not with you? That's a strange, complicated dynamic. And then there's the police detective who also has some emotional involvement in the case. She should just be doing her job by the book, but she lets some of her personal feelings about children and about marriage get in the way of her ability to do the job. So I kind of like the way the story bounces around between those 3 characters.
Well, I think taking a year to write a book is a good thing. I think that's what enables you to kind of regurgitate everything through the rest after your day. Like when you finish writing however much you write in the morning or whenever it is you write, later on you're probably thinking about it and going back to it and reforming it. I don't know. I just think that one a month, the example you gave us, those guys, I don't know what they're pumping out. It must be.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of a lot.
I don't know. I think giving yourself a year is a good thing for the book. David sent us a copy of the book. It's called Somebody's Daughter, and I would like to give it away. So if you're listening and you would like this copy, give me a call, 622-9622. The rest of us have to buy it online. Or, no, in a bookstore, anywhere. I'm sorry, not just online, but I found it online on Amazon. David, you have a website?
Yeah, davidbellnovels.com, and you can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, under David Bell Novels. So I love hearing from readers. Like you were saying, what is the reader reaction to the book going to be? I love it when readers read the book and tell me what they think and share those reviews. It's always a good thing to hear.
Well, I think both men and women are going to love the book. I just wonder, because even between Robin and I, you just said kind of like two different gut reactions to it, even though the storyline is probably reacted to the same way.
Well, it's like I said before, a book is never really finished until readers read it.
Interesting.
So when readers respond, that's when the circle is complete. So I'm always curious to know how people respond, because sometimes people have responses that I didn't anticipate. And so I'm always curious to hear what people think about it.
David, thank you. It's been an honor. The book, again, is called Somebody's Daughter. You can get it on Amazon, anywhere books are sold, and davidbellnovels.com is the website. Thank you, David.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
On the first and third Wednesday mornings of each month at 9:05, Robert